Hey, what's up? What's going on out there? I'm going to check out this video with Mike Greenberg. He's going to be talking about Trevor Lawrence and why he's struggling so far this year. I did a video, I believe, during the preseason, and they were hyping him up, getting all excited, talking about how good he looked. And I was like, look, it's the preseason. Defenses are going to be pretty much generic. A lot of starters aren't going to be playing. Damn near everybody's going to look good. And then, what do you know? Damn near 4 months, or excuse me, a month later, he's stinking it up. Like I said back then, Trevor Lawrence, for some reason, to me, he looks like the golden child 1 minute, then the next minute he looks like he shouldn't even be considered a second string QB in the league. He looks absolutely terrible. But I'm going to check out the video and see what they're talking about.
Sign Trevor Lawrence to one of those elite, all-time great, can't possibly lose him, reason that you win kind of quarterback contracts like, I don't know, checks notes 15 minutes ago, right? They just signed him to that. He looks broken. He looks terrible. It's unbelievable how bad.
Well, before Mike goes in any further, I'm going to say I watched half of that game and I had to turn it off because it was just terrible. Like Mike is saying, like he just looks terrible. He's getting paid elite money, but he's playing like a third string type caliber guy. Now, the problem with the NFL now is they're paying these players to be elite, but they're not elite. So it's putting a lot of these organizations in like some QB like limbo, where they have to pay these guys, but they're not really that talented. They shouldn't be getting paid $50 million. Prime example, Dak Prescott the other day. But I'll take Dak over Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, to me, is like, he looks like he's supposed to be playing a certain way, but then he ends up playing the other way, if you catching my drift.
That team is. Now, I don't know if we should count Urban Meyer because he was such a disaster. But if you're going to start putting the over-under at number of coaches that are going to get fired while Trevor Lawrence is the starting quarterback at Jacksonville, it's going to be 2 any minute now, right? I mean, Doug Pederson's going to get fired. And the reporters after the game hilariously are asking, he's talking about how, I have to take a look at the film and see if anyone needs to be benched. And someone actually asked the question, does that include the quarterback? That should have come with a laugh track. If Doug Pederson tried to bench Trevor Lawrence, Doug Pederson would get fired that minute and deserve to be. Doug Pederson is the coach of Jacksonville because his job is to make Trevor Lawrence great. If he can't do that, then they will fire him long before they will bench Trevor Lawrence.
You did the draft in which Trevor Lawrence went 1-1.
That was my first one.
Okay. You tell me if I'm overdoing it, but this was a quarterback that was compared, if not favorably, to people like Andrew Luck,
Elway,
Peyton Manning. Like
those
that
guys,
was
yes.
That was the company.
Better prospect than Peyton.
So
Mel would tell you that the greatest prospects he ever saw in college, his top of the top of the top of the top, are Elway and Luck. Absolutely, Trevor Lawrence is put in that category.
then how?
And another thing too, I don't know why people like use Mel Kiper's word as gospel. Like the guy, honestly, he's been more wrong than right. And they still parade him around like he's some type of genius, some type of savant. I don't get it. I mean, he's been milking ESPN draft for 40-something years. But, he has his little his Ponzi scheme together. So I can't even be mad at him.
Is this explicable in any way? How is it? It was easy enough to cast away his rookie season because of the Urban Meyer of it all. And I think almost everyone gave him a pass. Very next year, they're in the second round of the playoffs. He has that huge comeback against the Chargers and looked great, looked like he was ascending. He was a popular MVP pick the following year. This is a team that's now lost 8 consecutive games in which he has started, and he looks totally lost. Like you said, the ink is still wet. It's $55 million a year. Trevor Lawrence can't be average. He can't even be good. Trevor Lawrence has to be great to justify that contract, and right now he's barely playable.
Why? Like, someone help me. Cam, are you watching these games? Like, why is he so bad? There's no earth. I picked them last night because I said the Jaguars aren't a bad enough team to start out 0-3. Lawrence isn't a bad enough player to start out this bad. Buffalo is due for a bad game somewhere. I genuinely thought the Jaguars, that was not just my heart talking. I genuinely thought Jacksonville had a chance. That game was over early in the second quarter. Why is he so bad?
It's so weird because everything suggested after his second season that the arrow was pointed right upwards, right?
Absolutely.
He won a playoff game. Yes, he threw 4 picks in the first half of it, won a playoff game, and came as close to beating the Chiefs as anyone did that playoffs. And since then, since halfway through last season, when they collapsed, he has not won a game. So I can't really explain it. And especially when every evidence we had up until about week 12 of last season suggested he was on track to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, which he looked like for parts of the last 2 seasons. So I don't get it right now.
The way he won that playoff game was it was the best 4-interception playoff game of all time.
It was a 27-point comeback.
That he came back from that deficit. Again, I mean, so many things.
A deficit that he created. Like, another thing, too, I was thinking about, I don't know if Doug Pederson is calling the plays or whatever, but if he's not, I think he needs to resume calling the plays, because I think that'll help him, Trevor Lawrence, out a lot, or at least get him back on track a little bit. Because like I said, he plays great. Then there's other times it looks like he shouldn't even be playing. Like he should be a third-string QB, and especially at that pay, like what he's getting paid. He looks nowhere near what he's getting paid.
Happened that night. The fact that the Chargers didn't fire their coach after that game, I'll still never understand. But whatever, it worked out well because they got Harbaugh in the deal a year later. But that's the one I'd be really worried about.
I mean, right now, that game, that night that you just described, looks like the zenith of this kid's career. Whereas we thought that was going to be the beginning of something special. Very confounding considering the talent.
Now, he's still, I think he's not yet 25 years old. So there's plenty of time for that thing to get turned around. But boy, right now it is hanging in the balance.
Well, Mike is right. Like it's damn near like a make or break year. I'll give it maybe next year for him. You know, the ink isn't even dry on his contract, and Mike is right, man. The dude, like what are you doing? Like, what are we getting? Like, what are we really getting out of you? Are we really getting something out of you, or is it just fool's gold? Like these guys, Mel Kiper, like I said earlier, like they project these guys to be so good, and people just fall on this sword when they listen to these guys about their projections, and then they go to the NFL and they're not as good. Well, a lot of times in these college programs, they had the best talent, the guys are more open, but when you get in the league, the defenses become more complex, people are faster, those throwing windows get tighter, you know. So, you know what, I'm just going to, wait and see how he does. I mean, he looks good sometimes, so maybe it's something there. But that's my 1-2. Leave your commentary. Let me know what you think about it.